Hey guys, firstly, I just want to say thank you for your patience, not only with this video, because I know Scream's been out for a while, but also just me not posting last week and barely posting this week. I had 3 dental implants placed in my mouth, so soft food diet for a couple months. If you're curious at all about my journey in getting dental implants, I have a whole playlist on my other channel. I'll link it up here if you want to watch my recovery and all of that, but that's where I've been recovering from my dental implant surgery, but you don't care about that. So today we're going to be doing a very exciting video. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I just thought it appropriate to wait until the new Scream movie came out to rank all of the Scream movies. And naturally, I will share my thoughts on the new Scream movie because I was able to see it earlier this week, and yeah, I'll share my thoughts. Spoiler free for the new Scream movie, Scream 5. It's technically called Scream, but I'm going to call it Scream 5 for the sake of this video. So firstly, I want to clarify that I don't dislike any of the movies in the Scream franchise. Generally though, the Scream franchise is not my favorite horror franchise in the world. I've shared that before, you guys know this, it's not my favorite. I like it, it's fine, it's just not my thing. I don't want to say it's not for me because I enjoy these movies. I bought all of them on DVD to watch in my recovery and like have a Scream marathon while I was healing. I was not super excited about the new one coming out. I kind of felt nothing about it. I didn't think it was gonna be bad. I didn't think it was gonna be good. I had nothing, just apathy. I think my main issue with the Scream franchise is that I want more horror out of it because it is a horror slasher franchise, and I don't think that's the intention though, is to be super gory. I mean, it is gory, but it doesn't push it as far as other franchises do. So that's my biggest thing with it, is the horror is lacking, because I think first and foremost these are dark comedies over horror movies, kind of. It changes per movie, right? Also, will be spoilers possibly for most of the Scream movies except the 5th one. I won't be doing any spoilers for that because I know a lot of people still have not been able to see it yet because a lot of places are still on lockdown and theaters are just not open. So I'm not going to do that to you. I'm not going to reveal any spoilers, but possibly spoilers for the other movies. Do we start from worst to best? I have this written out like best to worst, but I feel like that's not the correct way to go about this. So I'm going to do worst to best. So the worst Scream movie, in my opinion, is Scream 2. Now, that being said, it does have one of my favorite opening scenes in the whole franchise. I really love the movie theater setting. However, this was a missed opportunity, in my opinion. I feel like so many scenes in the Scream franchise are missed opportunities to make them really gruesome, and the theater scene could have been way more brutal, in my opinion, and it would have been so much better, because the horror elements from Scream really do come from the gore and like the killings. So like, why not make it and push it, make it super brutal? I don't know, that's just my opinion. I know not everyone's for that. I know that's not what this franchise is really about, but Scream 2 is just not the one I was really excited to watch or rewatch in my marathon. I've only seen it the one time before that, and it's just not that good. I just think that the second one is the most forgettable of the franchise and just not exciting. It's like, doesn't keep my interest for that long, and the horror elements are just a little bit more on the weaker side compared to the other installments of the franchise. And not my favorite storyline. Like, it's just a boring story, in my opinion. Like, the whole storyline, I'm just not into it. So in 4th place, we have Scream 3. The reason why Scream 3 is a little bit higher than Scream 2 is because I find this one just so entertaining. I love the dynamic of the actors. You know, they're filming a stab movie, and they have the actors juxtapose the real people in the movie, and I just love that dynamic. I don't know, it just makes it really, really entertaining. I love all the characters in it. If you don't take it too seriously, I think this one is one of the most fun ones in the franchise, and I think, like I said, these are kind of dark comedies. I think they're supposed to be fun at the end of the day. I think the Scream movies aren't supposed to scare you so much as they are to entertain you, and I think Scream 3 is really effective in that. The premise is absolutely ridiculous. The killer reveal in the end feels like a soap opera. Like, it's just so ridiculous and over the top, but I think this was the perfect movie to do that, so then we could kind of come back to home a little bit with Scream 4 and 5, but I don't know, I think this is the most fun one in the franchise. Everything about this one is over the top, and you would think that would make it not as good, but I think it knows what it's doing. I mean, these movies are always meta, they're always self-aware, and I think Scream 3 was very self-aware in what it was doing and pushing the ridiculousness to the extreme, and I actually really like it, so that's why it's in 4th place. In 3rd place, we have Scream/Scream 5. So this is actually the first Scream movie that I have ever seen in theaters, and let me just tell you, I get it now. I get it. I went on like a Tuesday, there was like 3 people in there. I still get it. I know that you're supposed to see this with like a big crowd. It's not the time to do that, so I went to a matinee. But I know, I told you this franchise was not my favorite, so I've never sought them out in theaters. And maybe that's one of the problems with my opinion about this franchise, is I've never experienced it the way it's meant to be seen, except for the 5th one. So bear that in mind, that might impact my review a little bit for the new Scream movie or its place in this ranking. So remember how I said earlier that I wanted more horror from this franchise? I got it. I got my wish with the new Scream movie. That's exactly what I'm talking about. This movie pushed the brutality more than any other Scream movie, and I loved every single second of it. There were no missed opportunities with this one. Like I said, most of the time I feel like the gore and the brutality is a missed opportunity for these movies because they could really push it far. But this one, no missed opportunities. Every single death was great. Now, I do have some issues with the new Scream movie. I'll go into some of my criticisms. Again, spoiler free, so don't worry about that. It is ranked 3rd for a reason. So one of my things is the predictability, right? I think when you're making a 5th movie in a series that is kind of predictable anyways, it's hard to catch the viewer off guard. It's hard to surprise us, which is why I think that the predictability in this movie is another meta aspect and was intentional. That's just my opinion though. Obviously, you could disagree with that. I think the format of the movie, we know by now with the 5th one, we're gonna be looking at every single character because it's always who did it, right? We're gonna have every single option already mapped out. We're looking at everyone, you know, literally everyone. We're like, oh, Sydney's a killer, you know? We're thinking everyone, even if it's not likely, because that's what the Scream movies do. They catch you off guard with who the killer is or killers. So at some point in time, watching the Scream movies, we're gonna be right, because every time a new character, we're like, that's it, that's the one. So if it was intentional, was it the best decision? Maybe, maybe not. I think some people are not going to enjoy it. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind the killer reveal and everything because I feel like you just can't catch Scream fans off guard anymore. You just can't with the 5th one. I liked the direction that it went with the killer. I wasn't mad at it at all. I don't want to say too much about it because I obviously don't want to reveal anything to you, but I liked it. I liked that aspect. I was not mad at it. Now, another issue I have with this, it's not even an issue. It's just something that got a little bit repetitive and a little bit annoying, and that is all the fan service. Like, this was made for Scream fans 100%, and as someone who is kind of middle ground with the Scream movie, like, I'll watch them, but they're not my favorites, it was kind of annoying. Now, in my opinion, Sydney, Gale, and Dewey coming back as characters in this one was more fan service than plot direction. Like, their characters in the storyline didn't make too much sense to me. Like, they were kind of forced into this story to kind of, you know, appeal to the fans, because without them, this movie obviously would have suffered. So their characters weren't that important. They were very much side characters throughout the whole thing, which is fine. I feel like they're kind of starting a new series, I don't want to say series, new trilogy maybe of the Scream movies. I think they're going to start, I think there's going to be more. They had a place in it, obviously. There were moments where their characters were very important, but I do feel like they were kind of pushed into the script and into the movie for the fans, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just sometimes the fan service of everything and like all the references and like the, you know, Randy being a part of it and things like that were just a little too much, like a little unbelievable. So Scream 5 is hands down the most meta, I think, out of all of them, and also is the one that takes itself the most seriously. And I don't know if that's like the best combination for this type of franchise, because it is more of a serious tone. I prefer the meta aspect to be in a lighter tone movie. Or if you want to take yourself really seriously, maybe dial back the meta aspects a little bit, even though that's what these movies are really all about. I did like the modern horror movie references. I thought that was very entertaining. Again, very meta. All of that being said though, with those criticisms, it's ranked third for a reason. The entertainment aspect of this movie was phenomenal. This did not feel like 2 hours long by any means. It was like an hour and a half. It's really fast paced. The characters are so strong. Absolutely loved them. I really want to see Tara come back as a character, possibly as the next final girl, because she killed it. Like, she was so good in this movie, and I wish we got to see more of her. As far as fitting in the franchise, I think some things felt a little bit off. Like I said, it's a little bit more of a serious tone, which I think is intentional. They're modernizing the franchise a little bit. This is the only one that did not have Wes Craven directing, of course, but it does feel like an appropriate installment, and I genuinely really liked most aspects of this movie. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5, honestly. I haven't rated it yet on Letterboxd. I almost put it in second place in my ranking as well, but the couple things were, you know, a little bit off for me, but I really, really enjoyed this movie as an entertainment, in the entertainment factor. Does that make sense? I was never bored. It's really good. It's a great slasher. I loved the brutality. That's what I want from the Scream franchise, was this movie. The gore in this genuinely upset me, like made me uncomfortable. Like in a Saw type way, you know, but in a good way. Anyway, go see it if you haven't, or if you have to wait for streaming, of course, definitely watch it. Okay, in second place, we have Scream 4, which obviously reveals my first place. Okay, so Scream 4 was arguably the most gruesome one up until the 5th one. I thought that this one really pushed it as far as the gore and everything a little bit more than the others, which I really, really enjoy. Now, one of my biases with Scream 4 is we kind of go back to actually following high school students. And I prefer that, honestly, because the original is about high school students, and then 2 and 3 we kind of just have adults or whatever, you know, it's still following Sydney and everything. But Scream 4, we kind of revisit the teens, so it feels more like a genuine teen movie, which I really categorize Scream as a franchise as teen movies, even though not all of them are. That's another thing I really liked about Scream 5 too. We're following teens in that one. I just feel like those are closer to the original, which is technically the best one in the franchise. Not to reveal my number 1, but you already know. I just generally prefer, if it's a slasher movie, to follow teens. That's the point I'm trying to make here, because teen slashers aren't always the greatest, but I think the Scream movies are really effective. So one of my biases with reviewing any movie and ranking any movie is I will put entertainment value first above technicality. So that's one of my biases. You should know that by now, or at least going forward, you should know that. So that's why Scream 4 is ranked so high. I think it's not a fan favorite by any means. I think it's probably, you know, ranked pretty low amongst people. This is probably the most rewatchable next to the original in the entire franchise. I will say I do not love the characters as much in this one, though. They're a lot weaker to me to the original. I love the characters in the original, obviously. They're like iconic, some of the best. But I do think the story in this one makes more sense than the other sequels, and I actually really like the killer reveal. As cringy as it can kind of be, I don't mind it. Now, Wes Craven only agreed to come back to direct the 4th one if the script was as good as the first one, so obviously he did direct the 4th one, which shows that he did approve the storyline for this one. And of course, this is the last Scream movie that he would take part in before his death in 2015. Now, one of the things I like about this one is they kind of pay homage to the original with the fake out in the beginning with some notable actors of the time, much like they did with Drew Barrymore in the first one. In this one, we even got a double fake out, which is exciting, so I just personally really like that aspect. So for first place, obviously, the original. What are the rules of Scream? Don't fuck with the original? Obviously, it's gotta be number 1. I would love to know if any of you think the sequels are better than the original. I would love to know. No judgment, of course. I'm just very curious because I think the original is loved by so many. So I just want to know if anyone else prefers the sequels. Like most horror franchises, I just think the original is typically the best one. With few exceptions, of course, but I think Scream definitely fits into that category. I just think this original Scream movie has the best killers in the whole franchise, and you just cannot top Stu and Billy. Obviously, it's a little bit predictable because you always look at the boyfriend, right? But the fact that there's 2 killers, that was a big reveal in this one, and they continue that throughout the franchise as well. But I think this one one is the most effective because it was the first one to do that, and I think it genuinely caught people off guard. And because it's the original, it definitely keeps you on your toes throughout the entire movie, despite it revealing the whole horror formula to you as we go on. But I feel like that's one of the things that makes these movies so entertaining, is they tell you exactly what's going to happen in a way, and how meta they are. Like, you know what's going to happen because they're telling you, they're revealing that formula to you as you're watching the movie, and it all takes place. So I don't know, I just feel like that's a really fun aspect to these movies. And this was the one that kind of introduced that concept of meta horror and self-aware horror and just this new type of slasher in general. And I feel like the time period of 96 was like the perfect time to do that. I just think it's genuinely the best one. On a technical level, entertainment, I think it's the most rewatchable of the entire franchise. It has the best killers, the best characters. Also, the lasting effect of this movie, not just on the horror genre, but on real life as well, is just amazing to me. Like, it's a horror phenomenon. Like, the fact caller ID became 3 times more popular after this movie came out is just so cool. Also, just this movie's impact on media and the entertainment industry. I just think not many other franchises can really come close to its reputation. So there you have it. There is my Scream ranking. Let's put them all in order over here just one more time. I would love to hear your Scream ranking and what you thought about Scream 5 if you've seen it so far. If not, are you excited for it? I imagine if you clicked on this video. If there's any other horror franchises that you would like me to rank, please list it down below. I will leave a playlist up here for my rankings, my ranking video, my tier list and everything. So you can go check that to see if I've already done the franchise that you want me to rank. So check that. But yeah, leave a comment down below. Tell me what franchise you want me to rank and what movies you want me to review in the future that are coming out this year. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.